Shalom, shalom, everybody. Welcome to Torah is for Everyone. It is these portions in Devarim are so fantastic. You don't even need a lot of interpretation. You don't need the rabbis, you don't need anyone to interpret. You just listen to the words because Moses is so down to earth. And he's speaking to us as if he's speaking to his children. Just like I remember our rabbi would say when he would go away, take a trip, he traveled quite a bit. He would always worry about the kids, especially his older one, who was very easily influenced. And he would get into trouble every time, and he would tell him, "Don't follow these people. Be careful who you're befriending." Anyway, let's get to reading it because it is absolutely fantastic. Let me share the screen. So I'll begin reading it, Miriam, okay?
Yeah.
And if there's a point where you'd like to read or I would like you to read, I'll let you know. Or you let me know.
Okay.
So Vaetchanan is, I pleaded with Yud He Vav He at that time, saying, O Lord God, you who let your servant see the first work of your greatness and your mighty hand, you whose powerful deeds no God in heaven or on earth can equal. These people had seen all those things. He had seen them. Let me, I beg you, cross over and see the good land, Haaretz Hatova, the good land on the other side of the Jordan, the good hill country, including Lebanon. Okay, we don't see that, but including Lebanon. Those are the mountainous areas. But God was angry with me because of you and would not listen to me. You can see he's very down to earth. It's easy for us to blame others. The Lord said to me, Bevadai, not Bevadai, die, enough. Never speak to me of this matter again. Go up to the top of Pisgah and look to the west, to the north, the south, and the east. Look at it well, for you will not go across this Jordan. God isn't afraid to say things as the way they are. We're afraid to tell people, but He's not. But He's also very merciful. Give Joshua his instructions and imbue him with strength and courage. For he shall go across at the head of this people, and he shall allot to them the land that you may only see. So here the baton is being passed on to Joshua, and God is telling Moses, or here Moses is saying that God told him, imbue him with strength is like put your hands on him, give him a blessing. If you ever watch parents blessing their children on Shabbat when they do the Yivarechecha, it's a beautiful thing. Give him some of your strength and your courage. Let him know that he's the one who's going to go after you. He's always been with you. Meanwhile, we stayed on in the valley near Bet Peor. Bet Peor is where they had that big mistake. They worshiped the gods of the Baalim. That was where Pinchas speared through the Midianite and the Simeonite. These every time they name a place, there's always a reason for it. And now, O Israel, listen, Shema, ve'ata Israel, Shema el hahukim. The hukim are the ordinances, which we may not understand. They may not be logical to us, but we have to do it because God says so. V'el mishpatim. The mishpatim are the judgments. Asher anochi, that I am instructing you to do, to observe, so that you may live to enter and occupy the land that the Lord your God is giving you. I mean, it's not rocket science. Listen, I'm giving you what you need to know, and then you'll be able to enter the land. You'll be able to occupy it because I am with you. Now, this is probably one of the most important verses that we will read in this Torah. You shall not add anything to what I command you, nor shall you take anything away from it, but keep the commandments of your God, Yud He Vav He, that I am commanding you. So, what do we see today? How many later books? Remember, the only thing we had here were the 10 commandments. When he says keep the commandments, those are the ones written in stone, handed to him on the Mount Sinai. He brought them down to our people.
But on the journey, doesn't Moses also write down other things?
Yeah, but he's not talking about that. He's
Okay.
talking about when we were given the 10. He's going
Oh,
back now.
the commandments, yeah.
Yeah, he's going back in time now and he's recounting, okay, the things that happened. He's recounting here, all those things that I just read.
Right.
And he's saying, don't add to them. So what have we done? What do human beings do? We've added Judaism is no longer simply biblical Judaism. As our rabbi said, in this community, we believe in biblical Judaism, the simple Torah. We don't call ourselves Orthodox Jews, conservative, Reformed, Karaite, all those other Jews who follow. Actually, the Karaites, the Karaites, sorry, the Karaites basically they follow the Torah, but they're much stricter in certain areas. But they do not follow the Talmud, the Mishnah, all those extra books. We can read them, but we are not to add to the 10 Commandments because everything that we are going to read is commentary, is how to apply these 10. And let me tell you, they are enough to keep us busy every single day for the rest of our lives. So we have the Talmud. Then the New Testament came along. We have the Quran that came along. All these later books. People could choose to believe what they want, but that they're not following what the God of Israel told them, told Moses. Do not add, do not take away anything from it, but keep the commandments that I am commanding you today. Because you saw with your own eyes what God did in the matter of Baal Peor, which I just explained to you. Your God wiped out from among you every person who followed Baal Peor. These are the gods of these worlds. Their gods are still some of the kings, some of the rulers, like we see in North Korea, some of these leaders of these countries who make themselves to be gods. There are no gods other than our God. While you who held fast to your God, he's talking about those who had finished the generation who had left the Egypt and had complained and had not trusted, they all died in the desert. But those who came after them are all alive today. You see, I've given you the laws, chukim, and the mishpatim, as my God has commanded me, for you to abide by in the land that you are about to enter and occupy. Now, one of the things that Rabbi taught us was that the 10 Commandments are divided into 3 portions. The first 3 are mitzvot. Those are the commandments of what our relationship is with the Creator. The first one, he introduces himself. He tells us, I am the God who brought you out of the land of Egypt. Have no other gods. Then he says, don't make any images. Don't bow down to worship those images. And number 3, don't take my name in vain, which means don't add, don't take away anything from my words. Don't put words in my mouth that I never said. Those are the first 3, the mitzvot. Those are our relationship with the God of the universe. The middle 2 are called the hinge. The middle 2 are a hinge between the first 3 and the last 5. That's us. How to love ourselves. We keep the Shabbat, we get rest. We know that God is the only one and we trust him on this day. We don't work. And honor our parents. We honor authority because if we can't honor our own parents, we will never be able to revere and honor God. So those are the hinge between the first 3 Those middle two are called chukim, and the last five are called mishpatim. The five that tell us how to behave with their neighbor. Do not murder them. Do not steal from them. Do not commit adultery with their wives or adulterate anything that that takes you away from me. They do not speak anything that brings down the character of another human being. Don't gossip about them. Don't take their don't speak words that bring down their character, because we're all made in its image. And the last one of the 10, the last one, don't envy, don't covet, don't want something that it does not belong to you, whether it be their wife, anything that they own, anything that they do, any role that they have. If we just kept those and brought them to the world, to the nations, which is what God told us to do, to be a light. How are we a light? By keeping these commandments. People see things in us. They see morality, they see decency, they see honor, they see kindness and compassion. So it says, you see, I've imparted to you those hukim and mishpatim, as my God, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, commanded me, so that you will be able to abide in the land that you're about to enter and occupy. It's a done deal. God is giving it to us. But in order for us to be able to remain in the land, to abide in the land, we needed to keep these laws, these rules, these mishpatim. Guard them, observe them faithfully. Shmartem u'asitem, which means guard them and do them. For that will be the proof of your wisdom and discernment to other people. Because other people watch Israel right up till today. If we do anything wrong, they are quick to let us know. And even when we do things that are right, they're quick to let us know that we still didn't do it right. Because we are at the navel, the center of the world. God placed us in a piece of land that is called the navel of the world. It is the belly button. It was the place. It's interesting because it just made me think, because the word Mitzrayim, Egypt, means a narrow place. So we were born in a narrow place, and we had to, through the 10 plagues, which were like the 10 birth pangs, and the parting of the Red Sea was like the waters. We had to go through the waters, through a narrow place, and coming to a land which would be the navel, our belly button, the navel of the world. These pictures are so marvelous.
Yeah,
So,
like birth, a real birth.
a real true birth. And Egypt was our surrogate mother, but the land was where we was going to be our mother and father, to take care of us completely. So observe them, do them, because this is how your chachma, your wisdom, and your understanding, da'at, will be shown to all the other nations, who, when they hear of these laws, you see, and they're not laws, they are commandments. When they hear of these laws, they will say, wow, this great nation is a wise and an understanding people, a great Hagadol, Hazeh. This is a nation. Look, it says Hagoy. Israel is a goy because it means nation. We are a great nation. Hagoy Hagadol, Hazeh. This great nation is Chacham, wise, and what is the word? Nabon. I don't know that word. I'd have to look it up. But it's a discerning people, it says here. For what great nation is there that has a God so close to them as is our God whenever we call. Imagine, he hears us. But when we are disobedient, he turns his face from us.
I find that such a powerful verse.
Isn't it marvelous?
Like, what other nation has a God so close, such a personal God?
Exactly. And he's not only for us, he's forever, he's for whoever calls upon him.
Right.
We look at the two men, the only two men that entered Israel, entered the promised land from that whole generation: Joshua, a native born Israelite; Caleb, son of Yefuneh, a Kenizzite. This was a man who chose to follow the God of Israel, Jew and Gentile together. This is a universal message. It's not meant just for the Jews. And that we have to learn. But we don't become like them. They come to be like us. They follow our God and our Torah. We don't go to their gods. What great nation has hukim and mishpatim as perfect, as righteous, tzadakim, as righteous as all this Torah hazot that I am giving you, I'm putting before you this day? Who else has this? Who else has codex, a codicy that is as perfect as this? No one, because they're all man-made. There is not one religion in this world that has a codex as perfect as this Torah. But be careful. Watch yourself very carefully so that you do not forget the things that you saw with your own eyes, so that they do not fade from your mind as long as you live. It is so common in us as human beings that we could see a miracle happen in our lives. And we are so overwhelmingly excited about it. The next day, something terrible happens and we forget it. It like fades from our mind. That's how we're made. That's why we have to keep repeating and repeating. And he says, make these things known. Tell your children and your grandchildren. I have failed in this dismally, but now I have an opportunity to tell them now. But it's harder when they're older. But that's why God tells us. And every year we sit down at the Pesach table and we tell our children the story of Egypt. Every Friday night we need to sit down with our children and tell them the story of Shabbat. Tell them the commandments. Tell them about the day you stood before your God. Yud He Vav He, that's his name, the only one. There's no other name under heaven. At Mount Sinai, at Horeb, when Yud He Vav He said to me, gather the people to me so that I may let them hear my words, so that they may learn to revere me as long as they live on earth, and that they may teach their children. So God was going to let them. He opens our ears. He's the one who lets us hear his words. He's speaking to Moses. Moses is saying, you came forward and you stood at the foot of the mountain. The mountain was ablaze with flames to the very skies, dark with the densest clouds. Imagine that. And God spoke to you out of this fire. You heard the sound of words. Now, this is so important, but you perceived no shape, nothing but a voice. How many religions today worship a shape, an idol, a picture? They may say they don't, but they do. You go into churches, there are statues, there are pictures of Jesus up on the wall. I've seen them myself. I went to the Sai Baba Center. There are people who worship a statue. Nothing but a voice, kol. And God declared to you the covenant, the brit. And what was the brit? His covenant? That you were commanded to observe the 10 commandments. And he inscribed them on 2 tablets of stone. And I have heard so many people say, no, Moses wrote these. He was a wise man. They're not reading the Torah because God inscribed them on 2 tablets of stone. At the same time, God commanded me, Moses, to impart to you Hukim and Mishpatim, the laws of Shabbat, the honor our parents, and the last 5. For you, for what reason? To observe in the land that you're about to cross into and occupy. We needed a system. Every country that becomes a nation has a constitution, has rules and regulations that they live by. I've heard so many Israelis say, we don't have a constitution in Israel. They don't, because this is our constitution. The 10 commandments are our constitution. But we don't want to hear them the same way we didn't want to hear God's voice when we stood at Mount Sinai. For your own sake, be careful, because you didn't see any shape. Don't make any images. When the Lord spoke to you at Mount Sinai out of the fire, do not act wickedly, and do not make for yourself a sculptured image in any likeness whatever, the form of a man or a woman. Just go downtown here in Montreal and look at Notre Dame and see all the statues at the top of that cathedral. And I'm not just picking out one thing or saying this because I'm saying it. This is what God says. People wear a cross with a form of Jesus Christ on it, where God is saying here, don't make any images to worship them. It's not that we can't make a beautiful statue like the beautiful statue of David that we see in Italy, or beautiful artwork, or make an image of a beast, but we can't make any beast or winged bird or anything that creeps on the ground or the form of a fish that is in the water in order to worship them. It says, and when you look up to the sky, the heavens, and you see the sun and the moon and the stars, the whole heavenly host, do not be lured into bowing down to them or serving them. This is what happens to people who are so involved in astrology that they will not take a step without finding out what's happening on their horoscope that day. That's worshiping the creation instead of the creator. And I know all about that because I did it. And I almost destroyed my own life. That's why I know. That's why I beg people, read our Torah. These, your God, allotted to other peoples everywhere under heaven. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I was thinking of that. Well, I'm thinking of it now. It can't be that God said they can do these things, but you can't, because there's only one God for the whole world. So I don't believe it means literally that. I
No.
think maybe it's that God chose a people to be like an ambassador, and the rest of the world, that's what they do. He says,
Well,
I'm
that's
showing you that you don't do that, but you are to go to all the nations and tell them that there's only one God.
exactly. And it's a process. The first one that he brought out was Abraham. Remember, Abraham was told, leave the house of your father, the house of your country, and go. And God introduced himself. So Abraham was immersed in those gods, and God took him out. And it's the same, all the people in the world, right up till today, are immersed in those gods. And God is telling Moses that it's up to us and this nation now. First, he took Abraham, then he took a nation out. And he was giving this nation, who came from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not from their siblings, from them. God, but you God took and brought him out of Egypt, that iron blast furnace, to be God's very own people, as is now the case. And here he repeats again what he said before. Boy, he's really upset. God was angry with me on your account and swore that I shouldn't cross the Jordan and enter the good land that your God, the Lord, is assigning you. So I have to die now in this land, and I'm not going to be able to cross the Jordan. But you will cross, and you will take possession of that good land. But be careful not to forget this covenant, the 10 Commandments. Don't replace them. Don't say now there's 613. Don't say now there's a new covenant. And that new covenant was replaced by the Quran. Don't say those things because they're not true. Do not forget the covenant, the brit that your God gave you. He completed with you. He sealed with you. Not to make for yourself any images in any likeness against which your God has commanded you, because your God is a consuming fire, an impassioned God. He's a jealous God. He will not share his glory with any other false gods. And when you have children and grandchildren and are long established in the land, if you act wickedly and make for yourselves any sculptured image in any likeness, causing your God displeasure and vexation, I call heaven and earth this day to witness against you that you shall soon perish from the land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess. You shall not long endure in it, but shall be utterly wiped out. And that happened to us not just once, but twice. The first time we were kicked out of the land and we went to Babylon. And all those things that we worshiped as gods, the golden calf continued in Israel, we forgot. And then later, at the time of the Romans, we forgot again, at the time of Yeshua. And he was warning us. He was trying to get us to come back to this, to the Brit, these 10 commandments. He said, I haven't come to abolish the Torah. I've come to bring you back to it, to explain it to you, to bring you back away from all the added books, all the added religion. And what did they do? They made out of him a god. I'm talking about Yeshua, from Rabbi Yeshua. They made a god out of him. The Gentiles did that, made a Jesus Christ from him. The same way. And that's the reason that Moses was not able to enter the land, because he would have been made into a god. We saw what happened with the serpent when the people were bitten by the serpents, and God told Moses to take a bronze serpent and put it up on a pole, and whoever looked up at this serpent would be healed from the bites of the snake. And years later, that serpent had to be destroyed, the bronze, because people had made it into a god. It's natural for us. We do that all the time with all kinds of things. Superstitions. I received an email, a text, an email saying that I must do this, I must send this out to 10 people, or I won't be blessed. Don't break the chain. That's superstition. The Lord will gather you among the peoples, and only a scant few of you shall be left among the nations to which the Lord will drive you. Look at us today. We may have survived generation after generation, 3,500 years, but we're only, what, 15 to 16 million people amongst the billions in the world? This is the Torah is true. And here, you will serve gods of wood and stone, made of human hands, made by human hands. They can't see, they can't hear, they can't eat or smell. Don't bring a little Buddha into your house and think it's going to make you prosperous. There's not far from here, there's a health food store run by Israelis. And outside in the window is the great big Buddha. Oh my God, help us. But if you search there, you will find your God. Who? Yud He Vav He. No other name. If only you seek with all your heart and all your soul. And when does that happen? When you are in distress. Because all these things have befallen you. And in the end, you will return to and obey your God. This is a key. This happens to us over and over again. We go into a land, we prosper, we forget our God, and then the enemies come against us, just like it's happening now. And when we are in distress, because our enemies are all surrounding us and coming against us, in the end, we do teshuvah. We listen, we turn back. God, forgive me, I'm sorry. And then we obey him again and we go into another cycle. Why? Because our God, Yud He Vav He, is a compassionate God. He will not fail us. And he will not let us perish. We are still here after generation. They've tried to wipe us out. And we didn't survive because we are so great, or because we have a great army. We survive because of God, who will not.
So much for the angry God that has no love or compassion, as often the Torah, or what they call the Old Testament, is characterized as having a fierce God without kindness or love or compassion.
Right, because they don't read the Torah. That's why we read it. God will not forget the covenant that he made, he swore, nishpa, with our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In the merits of our forefathers, we will be protected if we do not forget the covenant. You only have to inquire about the past that came before you. And how do we know? We read it in the Torah. Ever since God created mankind on earth, we read that in Genesis. From one end of heaven to the other, has anything as grand as this ever happened? Or has its like ever been known? Has any people heard the voice of a God speak out of a fire as you have and survived? 3 to 6 million people heard the voice of God out of the fire of Mount Sinai, and we lived. Has any God ventured to go and take one nation from the midst of another by mighty acts and signs and wonders, by war? This is what happened when we were taken out of Egypt, by these plagues, by a mighty hand and an outstretched arm and awesome power. Did any other of these gods of stone do that to anyone? As your God did for you in Egypt before your very eyes? It's been clearly shown to you. You know that the Lord your God, Yud He Vav He alone, he's the only one. Echad, Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. There is no one else. From the heavens, from the skies above, God let you hear his divine voice to discipline you. On earth, God let you see the great divine fire. And from amidst the fire, you heard God's words. Which words? 10 Commandments. Because he loved your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, God chose their heirs after them. God, personally, alone, in great divine might, led you out of Egypt. No other God led you out of Egypt. Jesus Christ didn't lead us out of Egypt. Allah didn't leave us out of Egypt. There is no other God.
It's interesting here. It says, God chose their heirs after them, even though it has nothing to do with love or preference, but it was not always in the way that we thought. The firstborn son or whatever God chose, meaning sometimes it was the second, or remember with King David,
not only with King David, before King David, with
Oh,
Jacob.
Jacob and Esau and
Jacob had 12 sons. Reuben lost his right because he slept with the concubine of his father. Levi and Simeon lost the right because they killed all those men in Shechem because of Dinah. So the fourth one was chosen. Judah was chosen. Jacob and Esau, twins. God chose Jacob, not Esau. Abraham and Yitzchak. No, I mean, Abraham had Yitzchak and Ishmael. He didn't choose Ishmael. He chose Isaac. Ishmael also became wealthy. 12 princes also. But they weren't chosen for this role. It's a role. It's not an evaluation of greatness. It doesn't mean one is greater than the other. They had a role to bring the commandments to be Or LeGoyim, to drive from your path nations greater and more populous than you. We're still doing that. Look at the nations surrounding Israel, little bitty Israel, the size of New Jersey. And we're taking on the Gazans, Hamas. We destroyed ISIS. We're taking on Iraq, Syria, Iran, all these little Israel. How? Not us, our God. To drive from your path nations greater and more populous than you, to take you into their land and assign it to you as a heritage, as is the case. One of the places that's going to belong to us in the very end is the Lebanon. Look how it's going to be huge, the land of Israel. Tell that to them now, they want to bury us. Know, Yodea, know intimately, this day, Hayom, and keep in your mind that the Lord God alone is God, Bashamayim be'ha'aretz, on heaven above and on earth below. There is no other. Ein od, no other. Shmarta, guard, as if you have a precious gem that you put in your safe and you hold on to it. Guard God's Torah, his hukim, and his mitzvot, which I command you this day, so that it may go well with you and your children. So if it's not going well with us and our children, don't blame Moses, and don't blame God, and don't blame anyone else. Take a look at the commandments. What are we breaking? What are we doing as a people? That you may long remain in the land that your God is assigning to you for all time. We were out of the land for a long time, but there always was a remnant. There was never a time in that land where there was no native-born Israeli who lived there. They may have been very poor, living among the Bedouins, among the Arabs who were there, but we always had somebody there in the land. Then the first thing after the commandments is very interesting. The next thing we read that he thinks is important enough to tell us about, that he's setting aside 3 cities on the east of the Jordan, to which a man who has killed someone, not intentionally, here, could escape. One who unwittingly, unintentionally slew another without having been an enemy in the past. It was by accident. See, God, the most important thing for God is justice. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. Justice, justice you must pursue. So he's making a way for this man who really is innocent. Our courts don't do that anymore. But they had a place where they could go, flee to the city and live. Bezer in the wilderness of the tableland, belonging to Reuben, Ramoth in Gilead, belonging to Gad, and Golan in Bashan, belonging to Manasseh. This is the Torah, Hazot HaTorah, that Moses set before the Israelites. We sing that every Shabbat. Hazot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai biyad Moshe. This is what we sing every week. These are the decrees, meaning the hukim, the mishpatim, and the mitzvot that Moses addressed to the people of Israel after they left Egypt.
In the West Band.
Yes,
It's-
Richard, do you have something to say?
No, I was just talking to my cat.
Okay, thank you. I hope your cat is listening to the Torah.
Does your cat have something to say?
Okay, so these are the decrees, the laws, the rules that Moses addressed the people of Israel after they left Egypt, beyond the Jordan, in the valley of Beth Peor, in the land of King Sihon. All these people were destroyed, the land of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon. All these people were defeated, whom Moses and the Israelites defeated after they had left Egypt. They had taken possession of his country and that of the king Og of Bashan. The two kings of the Amorites, which were on the east of the Jordan, from Aroer on the banks of the valley Arnon, as far as Mount Zion, that is Hermon. Also the whole Arabia, Arava, the whole desert, on the east side of the Jordan, as far as the sea of the Arava, at the foot of the slopes of Pisgah. Moses summoned all the Israelites and said to them, Shema Israel, hear, O Israel, the Chukim and the Mishpatim that I am proclaiming to you today. Study them, learn them, observe them, do them, guard them, because our God made a brit with us at Mount Sinai. It was not with our ancestors that God made this covenant, but with us. It was not with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but it was with Moses and those standing there that day, the living. Every one of us who is here today, that's including us who are reading this today. Face to face, panim b'panim, face to face, God spoke to you on the mountain out of the fire. I stood between God and you at that time to convey God's words to you. It's interesting that he said panim v'panim, because it always says that God spoke to Moses face to face. But here it's saying face to face, God spoke to you, all of you, those parents of the children who are at the edge of the border. God spoke to all of you on the mountain of the fire, but they didn't want to hear. Moses stood between God and you at that time to convey God's words to you because you were afraid of the fire and did not go up the mountain, saying, I, the Lord, am your God. Now here he's going to tell them, he's going to repeat the commandments as he remembers them. They're not identical to the ones that are in Exodus 20 because he's repeating what he remembers. I, the Lord, am your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods beside me. But really, it says, Lo yihyeh lecha, there is to be for you, there is not to be for you, Elohim, gods, acharim, al pene, upon or placed upon my face, al panai. In other words, don't cover my face because I'm speaking to you face to face. Don't cover my face. Don't put another God in front of me because I am the only one. You shall not make for yourself any sculptured image, any likeness of what's in heaven above, or on earth below, or in the waters under the earth. Don't make a little turtle or a fish or anything in order to bow down to them or serve them. You shall not bow down to them or serve them. The Hasidim have taken it a step further. They said, we're not allowed to have any images. We're not allowed to have any paintings in our house. So just in case you might worship them. This is going a little too far. That's not what God is saying. Don't add, don't take away from his words. For I, your God, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, am a jealous God, and I visit the guilt of the parents upon the children to the third and fourth generation of those who reject me. So the third and fourth generations means for a period of time that is limited. Because in the next generation, there may come someone who loves God, and then God shows kindness right to the thousandth generation, which means eternity, for those who love me and keep my commandments. And love isn't about a Hollywood love. Love it's not a feeling, it's a loyalty. It's not putting any other God in front of our God. And that we work, we strive, we work hard to keep his commandments. And when we fail, we have a chance to come back to him. It's called teshuvah. Do not swear falsely by the name of your God, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. For the Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh will not clear anyone who swear falsely by God's name. Don't go around saying things that God never said. Observe the Shabbat day. That's the fourth commandment. Keep it separate, the way your God has commanded you. And what did he tell you to do? Don't work. Right away it says, 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh is a Shabbat of your God. Do not do any work. You, your son, your daughter, your male, your female servant, your ox, your donkey, any of your cattle, or the stranger, the ger, who is with you. It's not just for the native-born Israelite. If you own a business, don't give it to the stranger to keep open for you. Close your business on Shabbat. Don't work. Because you and your female slave and the cattle and the stranger and your children may rest as you do. We're no longer slaves. We can rest. Remember, you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and your God freed you. So why are you enslaving them? He freed you with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore, your God commanded you to observe the Shabbat day. How many of our people, our own beautiful people, secular Jews, not interested in Shabbat? I was like that for years. Shabbat was the day I would go have my hair done. I worked for 5 days. Shabbat, I went shopping. I had my hair done. Sunday was a family day. That was what we did. But when you know better, you do better. And then we wonder why things don't go well for us because we're not observing the Shabbat. We find all kinds of excuses. I can go out and buy a coffee. I'll take my children out for lunch. No, it's not what God is saying. Don't work and don't make anybody else work. Take the day off. Kaved, honor, revere, even if they're not great parents. It doesn't qualify your mother and your father because they gave birth to you. They gave you life. As God, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, has commanded you so that you may live long and you may do well, may you fare well in the land that your God is assigning you. So if things aren't going so well, maybe you haven't been honoring your parents. And it's something we really need to look at. Do not murder. This is premeditated. Because remember before, he made 3 cities for us to go to if it was unpremeditated, it was an accident. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness against your neighbor. Do not covet your neighbor's wife. Do not covet your neighbor's house, his field, his servants, his animals, his cars, anything that belongs to your neighbor, his wife, nothing. All these are the last 5. So we learn how to treat our neighbors, we learn how to love ourselves, and we can only do that when we love our God. The Lord spoke those words, those and no more, to your whole congregation at the mountain. with a mighty God out of the fire and dense clouds.
Your voice.
A mighty voice. Yeah, but look what it says. He didn't speak other words. He spoke just those 10 commandments with a mighty voice out of the fire. And then God inscribed them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me, Moses. And when you heard the voice out of the darkness while the mountain was ablaze with fire, you came up to me, all your leaders, your princes, your elders, and you said, our God, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, has just shown us a majestic presence. And we have heard God's voice out of the fire. And we have seen this day that mankind may live, though addressed by God, as if he were addressed by God. Let us not die then, for this fearsome fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of God, any longer we shall die. For what mortal ever heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the fire as we did and lived? We just heard before in the last chapter of how what nation heard the voice of the living God and did not die. Do you remember that verse that we just read? For what other nation was taken out? And here we are saying we're changing the word of God. We didn't want to hear. We were afraid. Every time we fear, we disobey God. You go closer. You, Moses, go closer and hear all that God says. This is what we're always doing. We may go to a synagogue. We may go to a church. We may go to a mosque. We don't read the Torah. We tell them, you read it and tell us what it says. Then you tell us everything that our God tells you, and we will willingly do it. So how do we know that what they're telling us is what God is telling us if we don't want to read it or hear it ourselves? God heard our plea, the plea that you made to me, and he said, I've heard the plea that this people made to you, and they did well to speak this way. May they always be of such mind to revere me and follow all my commandments, that it may go well with them and with their children forever. Go and say to them, return to your tents, but you remain here with me, and I will give you the whole instruction, the laws and the rules that you may impart to them, for them to observe in the land that I'm giving them to possess. So this is what the things that God told him that he wrote over the next 38 years. Be careful then to do as your God, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, has commanded you. Do not turn aside to the right or to the left. Our path needs to be straight. It's a narrow path, not to veer to the right or left of his morality. And today we're being pulled by the world's morality. Follow only the path that your God has given you, has commanded you, so that you may thrive and it may go well with you, and that you may long endure in the land you're about to possess. And this is the chukim. Zot hamitzvot, mitzvotah, hachukim, hamishpatim. These are the 10 commandments that your God has commanded me to impart to you, to be observed in the land you're about to cross and occupy. See how he repeats over and over? Because we don't listen. So that you, your children, and your grandchildren may revere, may be kaved, God. How often do we see that today? And follow, as long as you live, all the divine rulings, the mitzvot, that I have commanded you to the end. As a result, you may long endure. Here, obey Israel. Shama'ata, O Israel, willingly, faithfully. Guard it so that it may go well with you, that you may increase greatly in a land flowing with milk and honey, as the Lord your God of your ancestors spoke to you. Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. And in this part we sing every Shabbat. Ve'ahavte et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha ubechol nafshecha umechol me ubechol meodecha. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom alivavecha. Take to heart these instructions, these mitzvot, which I'm commanding you this day. Impress them upon your children. Teach them to your children. When you get home, when you're away, when you lie down, when you rise up, bind them as a sign on your hand. Let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. It wasn't necessarily to be taken literally, the way we see the little box on the hand, on the forehead, and the wrapping. It had to do with a symbolism that these, if you bind something on your forehead, it's you're putting them into your brain, and when you, everything that you do with your hands, you're going to do with these in mind. Inscribe them on the doorpost, the mezuzot, on your house and on your gates, everywhere you go. When you go into your house, on mezuzah, it says, Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. The Lord is one. He is our God. He's the only one. And when your God brings you into the land that was sworn to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to be assigned to you, He is giving these to you. I don't care what anybody else says. Great and flourishing cities that you did not build, houses full of good things that you did not fill, hewn cisterns that you did not hew, vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant. And you eat your fill. When you have these, wherever you live, take heed that you do not forget. Every single day, let us wake up and remember Him. When we go to sleep, let us remember Him. Everything that happened to us this very day, He allowed us to go through. He gave us the strength, the compassion to face the day. And He freed us from the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. Let us remember that. We're not slaves anymore, except to our own past, the slavery of our own making. Kaved, your God. Revere only your God. Does it say kaved? Et Adonai Elohecha tira. Tira, don't be afraid. Don't be, here, fear your God. Fear Him in an awesome way. And worship. Avodah means everything that you work, everything that you do it for Him. And anything that comes out of your mouth, swear only by God's name, not by other names. Don't follow other gods, gods of the people around you. For your God in your midst is a jealous God, lest the anger of your God blaze forth against you, wiping you off the face of the earth. This is what happens to us. So when things like the Holocaust happened and the Inquisition and all those things, and we were kicked out of the land in Babylon, don't blame anybody else but us. Do not test your God like you did at Massa when we complained we had no water. Be grateful. Be sure to keep the commandments, decrees, the laws that your God has commanded you. We have to remind ourselves of this all the time, remembering, memorize the 10 Commandments, and see what we break and what we don't. Do what is right. Get on the right and good tovah. in the sight of God, that it may go well with you, that you may be able to possess the good land that your God promised on oath to your fathers, and that all your enemies may be driven out before you, as the Lord has spoken. You know, every time I read this, every time I remember this, and I think of what's happening in Israel today, the hostages, the poor remaining hostages who look like Holocaust survivors, who they're flaunting in the face of our people, that our enemies will be driven out when we do what is right and what is good in the sight of God. We need to turn first, to turn back to our God. And when in time to come your children ask you, what do these commandments mean, these mitzvot, chukim, and mishpatim that our God has commanded us? This is what you're going to tell your children. You know, we were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, and the Lord freed us. The only God freed us from Egypt with his mighty hand, not ours. He says it's not by might, not by power, not by it's but by your spirit, says the Lord of hosts. The Lord brought these before our eyes, wrought before our eyes, marvelous and destructive signs and wonders in Egypt. These were the plagues against Pharaoh and all his household. And God freed us from there in order to take us and give us the land that he promised to our fathers. He's going to repeat these things over and over for us till we get it into our thick heads. Then the Lord commanded us to observe all these chukim, to hold our God in esteem, to be afraid of our God, not shudder or be afraid of him, but to fear an awesome being that we cannot even come close to, for our everlasting good and for our survival, as is now the case right up to now. It will be therefore to our merit before our God, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, to observe faithfully this entire Torah, as God has commanded us to do. And when your God brings you to the land that you are about to enter and possess, and when God dislodges the many nations who were there before you, all these idolatrous nations who had to get out of his land, because it's his land, not ours. The Hittite, Girgashi, Amori, Kani, Perizi, Hivi, and Hebusi, 7 nations, much larger than you. And your God delivers them to you, and you defeat them, and you must doom them to destruction. Don't make any treaties with them. Don't give them any quarter. Today, some of the biggest problems we have is that we have made treaties with the people who are living in our land. If you go to Jerusalem, you'll see the Muslim quarter and the Christian quarter. The Muslims are now overtaking the Christian quarter. God says, give them no quarter. Grant them no terms. Get them out. Don't intermarry with them. How many of us have children who have intermarried with others? Do not give your daughters to, and it's not about being a Gentile, but being a stranger. It's not a stranger with us like Ruth, but like who Esau married the Canaanites, because they give nothing but tsuras to us. Do not give your daughters or their sons, or take their daughters for your sons, for they will turn your children away from me to worship other gods. We've seen that throughout our history, and it's happening again. And the Lord's anger will blaze forth against you, promptly wiping you out. Instead, this is what you shall do to them. Tear down their altars, smash their pillars, cut down their sacred posts, consign their images to the fire. Do you know how many sacred posts and images and pillars are in the land of Israel right now as we speak? And there's no way that we as a people have the courage to do it, because the whole world will come against us. But we are a people consecrated to the Lord our God. Of all the peoples on earth, your God chose you to be Am Segula, a treasured people. And it's not because you are the most numerous of people that God grew attached to you and chose you, because you're the smallest of people. It was because God favored you and kept the oath made to your fathers that he freed you with a mighty hand and rescued you from the house of bondage, from the power of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And now we want to be rescued from these Meshigas, the Iran and Hamas and all those. But the only way, we have to turn back to him. We will never be able to do it on our own. Know therefore that only your God, Yud He Vav He, is God, the steadfast God, who keeps his divine covenant faithfully to the 1,000th generation of those who love him and keep the divine commandments, but who instantly requites with destruction those who reject God. Never slow with those who reject, but requiting them instantly. He punishes those who reject him. Therefore, observe shmarta, shamarta, guard the mitzvot, et hachukim, et hamishpatim, the 10 commandments, which anochi, asher anochi mitzavcha, which I am giving you, I'm commanding you, hayom, this day, la'asotam, to do them. This is what, I mean, I don't know how much simpler, how any other way that he could say it. So that is our portion for today. Absolutely marvelous. I love reading it. And I just keep begging myself to remember because it's so easy to forget.
Yeah.
Any observations? I know, Mary, you were giving them all along.
Well, yeah. Well, if that's the only chapter we had to our name left, it would say it all.
Exactly. It would say Vaetchanan. And he's pleading with us.
Well,
Like
we've almost, as a world, gone so far that a lot of people, it's just, when you've gone too far, there's no turning back.
Yeah.
I'm saying, you see some of the things that are happening now.
Yeah. And it's right here. It's all in the Torah. All we have to do is read it. So before we say goodnight, Jerry, do you have anything you have to say?
Very interesting, Parsha, very interesting.
Richard, any words? Does your cat have any?
No. Okay, I'll ask my cat. Hold on.
Okay, ask your cat for any words of wisdom.
Hold on a second. I'll get my cat.
Can we see your cat? He's a creation.
Is he the king of beasts?
I heard a cute joke where it talked about the difference between dogs and cats. And a dog will look at their master who has provided them with everything, with food, with a bed, with a house, with a hello.
That's so cute.
So Richard,
Adom. His name is Adom.
his name is Adom.
Adam.
Oh, he's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Oh my goodness. Hello, sweetheart.
Yeah.
He's gorgeous. So Richard, I heard this very cute joke about dogs and cats. The difference between
yeah?
dogs and cats. A dog who has everything provided to him, a house, his food, absolutely everything, will look at his master and will say, I have this man, this person has given me everything. He must be God. A cat will look at his master and say, My master has provided me everything, a home, a bed, food, everything I need, water. I must be God.
I love that. It's so true.
They're so different. Hey, Brooke, you used to have a lot of cats. You had 4
Bye
cats.
for now.
Yeah, I
Bye
guess.
for now, Richard.
Bye.
Once part of my secret that I'm not using it now. I used to use that. Her name was Pussy.
Yes, yeah, but he was a pussy cat. You had 4 cats at one time.
Ty-do. Brian
I
Ty.
do.
Ty-do
All
I
was your
do
last.
tiger. I had a tiger.
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 All
Somebody
your
said that,
cats. All your
somebody
cats.
said where I was living that I was mistreating my animal.
No, they slept in your bed. You slept on the chair. They were
Yeah, but
mistreating you.
no, but somebody and where when I was at that neighborhood said I was bad to my animal. When my
No.
cat made for the guy who had birds, he would keep the other cats away from his birds.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, all right, my dear friends, I want to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for listening. I pray, I plead with my people. Just read the Torah, listen to the words, don't believe what other people say about it, and observe, listen. Yes, Brian.
What you did now, I can play it back.
Yes,
Okay.
you can play it back. I'll be sending it out.
Okay.
All right. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
And I look forward to seeing you, God willing, next week.